Hey everybody, it's Wednesday, and that means that I'm on the website and I'm also on YouTube. Now, I was trying to work on the website to get under Katie's videos, so this will happen. I'm just having trouble with my website right now. So the way it will happen, you go to katiemorton.com, you go to Katie's videos, it's across the top panel, and you scroll down and it'll say Q&A for videos, and you can ask your questions there. For some reason, when I was shuffling things around, it got hidden and it's not an easily findable thing to post or forum, so I'm going to make it more easy to find, so that's how you'll find it once I can get it to update. The website's acting a little wonky. So anyway, so I have 3 questions today, and I only have 3 because the third one is actually pretty long, and then I did 2 within question number 2 because I got 2 of a very similar type of question. And there's also a journal topic / quote, so for those of you who are like, where is it? It's here. Okay, without further ado, question number 1. I'm going through a very stressful situation at the moment. It seems like my diet is junk food, like my body craves it. I try to eat healthy, but it disagrees with me. Help! Now, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just going to speak from the actual mental portion that is creating these cravings. Now, many of us know when we're really stressed, our body acts in very bizarre ways. For some of us, we turn to exercise as a way to get an outlet, and unhealthfully so. We can turn to restricting our eating. We can turn to binge eating. We can turn to eating only junk food. We can turn to a lot of things. Some people drink to cope. There's a lot of unhealthy coping skills out there. Now, when we are feeling extreme anxiety and we're kind of pumping through our, the best way to say is like our body's running on high, right? And you know when we're high, like when we're working out and it's like, oh, we're running on endorphins or adrenaline. That's what our body does when we're really stressed out. It runs on that stuff and it gets just really overwhelmed. Blah! And it can cause our brain to act kind of bizarrely. And it'll crave salts and sweets and stuff like that. Now, I know that it is really difficult, but during times of stress, it's more important than ever that we're eating proper meals and proper nutrition. Now, I don't think that there's any such thing as junk food or healthy food, but we need a well-rounded diet. So even though your body's craving them, maybe for your snacks you have something that's salty. Maybe you have your Cheetos or your popcorn or I don't know, fries or whatever it is that you want. You have that, but you also have some greens and some lean proteins, and you mix in a lot of whole grains and things that are good for you and things that your body's going to need because it will help you manage the stress better. Now, in the meantime, while we're trying to work in a better diet pattern, we're going to have to find outlets for that stress. We're going to have to find coping skills. So I would like you to try some new things. And for those of you who have good coping skills that help you when you're stressed out, let us know below. I personally like to go out with my girlfriends and chat and catch up and vent and whatever. I journal. I like to color. I also do yoga and meditation. That really helps me. So those are some things that I do when I'm really stressed out, because I promise you when we start lowering that stress level that you're feeling, those cravings will go away and you'll feel better in general. Your body will feel better because stress is really hard on us. Okay, I hope that helps. Question number 2. Now there are 2 questions, but pretty much a very similar question. So question 2, part 1. So glad to have you back. Because of you, I'm seeing a psychologist. That's awesome. After I visit him, I usually feel so good. I kind of feel like I've had my release of pent-up emotions, but then over the next few days, I get very weepy and depressed, but then I get better again. How does one not keep from feeling sorry for themselves? Or is it okay to feel bad for yourself for a few days? Now, the second question says, Katie, you're so pretty and cheery. Glad you're back. Oh, thanks. My struggle is I tend to go into the therapy appointment each week feeling good. But then the stuff brought up in session brings me down. It can sometimes take me a day to feel better again. And I have a mini depression. It's like I'm going and will continue to go. Ugh. Okay, so these, you can see how these are similar, but they're different, right? The response is a little different. One person feels really great right after and then goes into kind of a depression. Someone feels great before therapy and then goes into depression. So it's very common. And the first thing I would recommend is that you bring it up with your therapist, because oftentimes we're digging through stuff like I talked about yesterday. We're digging through things that we don't normally talk about, and it can be really hard, and the work is hard. If you haven't watched my videos before, I've said multiple times, going to therapy and actually working through our problems is really hard work, and you should be really proud of yourself, because the easiest thing we can do is just ignore it. Like, meh, whatever, that's just who I am. I get really frustrated with my clients who are like, that's just part of who I am. I'm like, no, it's actually not. Ruminating and obsessing and dealing with OCD, that's not who you are. That's something you're struggling with, and we can work through it. So working through it is hard work, and this is very common, but definitely bring it up with your therapist. I would even maybe set plans to help bring yourself out of it. So right after you have therapy, maybe with a good friend, you go grab coffee and you vent about it and you try to come out of it. We need to try different coping skills, because it is very normal when we dig through things in our lives and we can kind of feel good about it. Like the one person who's saying right after therapy, I feel really good, but then it starts to sink in, like actually that you're working through it, and maybe you're doing the homework that your therapist had you do, and we kind of go down. So make sure you're setting yourself up for success. Have things going on, have plans, maybe give yourself a day break where you don't think about that stuff. You kind of do that push away technique where we kind of distract for a little bit and then we come back to it. But most definitely bring it up with your therapist, and I'm glad you're both going to therapy. And if anybody has any tips about that, leave that below as well. Okay, question number 3. Now the last question. Now this one's a long one, so I'm going to try to read it quickly. I know with all the stories out there, you may not even reply to this. However, I had to try something to help save my sister. My sister has recently relapsed into her eating disorder. The first time her ED got so bad that she had a heart attack and seizures, which is very common and scary, okay? I never want to see her like that again in my life, as you can imagine. She did go to rehab, and family counseling has also been a part, and my family's also been a part of the process. However, I don't think she fully quit after all the therapists and programs. I recently became aware that the problem was still active when she had another heart attack. I never saw that coming. Her potassium levels were 0, so she's been doing it for a while since rehab. I don't believe she realizes she has a problem either. I watched her closely when I came home from college and on breaks, and she seems like she's doing better with all the weight gain and all. I never suspected that she had been purging. To my knowledge, she'd never stopped talking, she abuses laxatives daily. To my knowledge, she never stopped taking them from the first time around. How can I save her? What should and can I do? How do I get her to realize that she has a problem? How do I get her to understand she cannot be a functioning bulimic? I desperately want her to break her addiction to this awful sickness that drenches her. Please help. Now, the reason I wanted to answer this is because I get a lot of questions like this from people who love and care for those who are suffering from an eating disorder. And they're scary. Heart attacks happen. Seizures happen. Nerve damage happens. Skin, hair, we age at an incredible rate. There's so many things that can happen to us regardless of whether we're overeating, undereating, binging, purging, whatever. It's really hard on our bodies and we can die. And I know scare tactics don't work, but that's not even a scare tactic. That's just the truth. And the unfortunate thing is that we can never force someone to recover. We can never force someone to see they have a problem. We can't force someone to be better, which is why even after all the programs and after all the family work, she's still doing it. And the only thing, and I know this is horrible and we can feel helpless, but the only thing we can do is be supportive and let them know that we're there and check in with them, try to call them frequently and just, how's everything going? Good. Just check in, talk about your day, be a friend or a family member or whatever, just be there for them. And periodically you can say, I know things are hard for you sometimes and just know that I'm here. And they might be like, shut up, I know, blah, 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 who knows? But at least we're just reminding them. Because I get questions like this all the time. And even though we want to do so much, until someone recognizes that they have a problem and that they actually want to get help, they won't. And that's part of why I'm raising awareness and trying to create videos, is because the more we know, the better. And the more people who know, the better. And the more support people can get, and the less fear people will have about coming out about what's going on with them and what they're feeling. So just be as supportive as you can. You're obviously an amazing sister and you're already reaching out. So just keep reminding her that you love her and you're there. Now, the quote/journal topic of the day comes from Winnie the Pooh, because I love Winnie the Pooh, and Winnie the Pooh has a quote, and it's actually I don't even know how to say his name, Milne, the guy who wrote Winnie the Pooh. Anyway, it says, you can't stay in your corner of the forest waiting for others to come to you. You have to go to them sometimes. Now, I believe it was Piglet that said this, and I thought this was really good, because oftentimes I hear from many of you that you're really frustrated and nothing's working, and I don't know what to do, and so-and-so's offered support, and I'll offer some ideas, and none of those work. And sometimes we have to go out and get it. We can't wait for things to happen to us. We can't wait for people to call us. We have to go and make change. Get out. do something. So that's my challenge to all of you this week. I want you to figure out something that you can do where you can go out to be with people who are lovely and supportive, or something that you love to do, or a game you want to watch or something. I want you to go out and I want you to plan to do it, and I want you to do it. And then I want you to tell me what you did. Okay? I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be on Twitter. So ask your question using the hashtag KatieFAQ and I'll answer them. Bye.